One thing Bobby doesn't know is if you know Bobby, he enjoys racing. He also loves some ice cold beer. And these people down here in turn one, they like their cold beer down there in the grandstand. So after tonight, Bobby, that's going to be the Bobby Wilkins grandstand. We're going to name the turn one grandstand after you. How about that, turn one, boys? How about a little Leonard Skinner Freebird? Thanks a lot, Bobby. And we got one more thing. It happens to be this guy's birthday. So on the count of three, everybody, 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday, Bobby.
When I was a kid, I remember feeling like my Uncle Bob was so cool. I felt like anytime we went somewhere, when we would come visit from Ohio, that somebody would know who he was or want to say hi and stop to chat. And I always thought that was so cool. And I realized as I got older that he was always so kind and generous to, spend his time, chatting, and was willing to stop and talk to anyone. And I realized what a gift that was, and a lot of why he is so ingrained in his community and so many people's lives, because he always made you feel like you were the most important person in that moment. And I remember as I got older, every time he would greet us, I felt that way. And so I realized how other people felt when I was young and they would stop him to chat. I realized that feeling was how he made everyone feel. And I'm so fortunate to call him my uncle, and hope that I can help others feel that way too, and feel seen and heard, and like they're the most important person.
I know.
Sis, we're gonna have like a little one. What is your silly wife?
I don't know.
We never know.
I always admired Bobby Wilkins. As a kid at the racetrack, Bobby was larger than life. Bobby was a superhero almost to me. So much so, I grew a rat tail as a kid because Bobby Wilkins had a rat tail, and if Bobby Wilkins had a rat tail, then it was cool. As a child watching him at the racetrack, I always admired his intensity, his passion, his confidence he displayed in himself, because he was good and Bobby knew he was good. Some may say he was cocky. To that I said, it's not cocky if you can back it up. And Bobby could back it up. Over the last 20 years, Bobby and I was been blessed and privileged to, one evening, Bobby asked me to go to a party where he was going to be at. For what reason, I don't know. But I thought that was one of the coolest things ever. I'm going to go to a party Bobby Wilkins asked me to go to. I believe it was after the championship that he won with Kelly Hastings and I had won in the Mod Lights. Anyway, we get to this party and Bobby hands me a beer, and I thought to myself, this is cool. I'm drinking a beer with Bobby Wilkins. I'm drinking a beer with my childhood hero, which, again, Bobby always was kind to me as a kid, always talked to me, never one time shunned me away, even when he had bad nights. Anyway, after that one beer that night, we had a good time. We laughed, partied, and I was privileged to have a lot more beers with Bobby after that. We became friends. We went to Charlotte to the races. Bobby invited me a couple times to do things with him, and again, drink beer and listen to Bobby Wilkins stories, which I loved. Bobby, you will be missed. The memories, the lasting impressions you have left on me throughout my whole life, I will never forget. You were a great husband, great father, and a great friend. You are somebody that no one will ever, ever forget. How can they? How can they forget that mustache and that beautiful hair you had? Because if I was a kid, not only would I have grown a rat tail, I'd have grown that mustache too. So Bobby, rest in peace, my man, and cheers. Cheers to you, buddy. Another beer with you.
They good, Papa?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Hannah, Aunt Kim and Uncle Bob's youngest niece on Aunt Kim's side. I'm Hollis's daughter. I live down in Florida. Some of my greatest memories with Uncle Bob is the many Christmases we got to spend together down here in Florida. They were the best because all of us kids got to have Christmas together every year. The memories are endless. One of the best was my dad and Uncle Bob had to drive north and go rescue the Christmas presents from the snow. And then another great memory I always have is watching him at the track. I can't even count how many crabs we've eaten in my 34 years of life. And another really, really big memory that I'll always have is every time when we were in Delaware, every single morning, Uncle Bob would make scrapple. It was my absolute favorite. He always made a point to do it. It was so small, but it was such a special treat because down in Florida, we don't have scrapple. But it's a memory I'll hold on to forever. He was the best uncle that anybody could have ever dreamed of or asked for. He's incredibly missed. Aunt Kim, Janelle, Bo, love you dearly. And we're here for you guys. We love y'all. Love you, bud.
I have a lot of awesome memories with Uncle Bob, but the one that I always think about the most probably has to do with food. Growing up, we never really ate like meat or, some seafood, but I was always super picky about it. And Uncle Bob was the one that got me into crabs, and everybody close to me knows that crabs are my absolutely favorite food by far. And he really is the one who got me into picking them and loving them. Anytime I can pick what I want, for a birthday dinner, I pick crabs. So I've really enjoyed over the years with our Rehoboth trips every summer, having our crab feast with Uncle Bob, and I'll always think of him every time I sit down and get my crabs and my apple cider vinegar and my Old Bay, and I love him so much, and we'll miss him, but for sure always think of him during my favorite meals.
So Judd got to say his piece about Bobby, and now it's my turn. I did not have the pleasure of knowing Bobby during his glory racing days. I met Bobby as Janelle's dad, as Bo's dad, as Kim's husband. And so knowing all of that with the rat tail, I missed the rat tail era, but I was there for the mustache era because I don't think the mustache era ever went away, did it? It was always there. He was born with that, wasn't he?
The mustache. Yosemite Sam.
So really, if you want, when you say Bobby Wilkins' names, the first thing I think of are the wet mustache kisses. I knew that if I walked into any room that Bobby was in, the first thing that came at me was that mustache for the wettest, juiciest kisses. I loved that, looked forward to it, because not only did he care enough to give you his love, but he was kind. He made you feel comfortable in any situation. He was always, having a good time, relaxed, smiling. He didn't ever want anybody to have a bad time. That's how it seemed to me whenever I had the pleasure of being around him. So he is going to be missed. And I don't know that I will ever encounter somebody as special as Bobby and what he brought to our relationship. He was very much a part of, the beginning of Judd and Jeanette, and helping to really make me feel welcome and comfortable in a world I didn't know anything about, like racing. And so it's been a pleasure, and I love your family, and I will always be here to be a friend for them and keep your memory alive.
And there will never be another Bobby Wilkins. Faux show. I love you guys.
Yep. Just ready to rivet.
Rivet!
That's what I said.
Not a frog rivet.
We're about to rivet it.
favorite thing about Papa was when we would all sit together in the living room during Christmas and open presents.
My favorite thing about Papa was when he would bring pancakes over from the country store on Sunday.
My favorite thing about Papa was when he taught me to fish and, quote unquote, I'll give you a knuckle sandwich. My favorite thing about Papa is when he used to always call me graham cracker.
My favorite thing was when I went fishing with him.
Hi, I'm Hollis, the middle sister in Kim's family. This is Mark, and we live in Florida. Bob has been in our family for almost 50 years now and has always been the best big brother. When Bo and Janelle were little, the whole family would spend Christmas with us for many, many years. I think the only way Kim could convince Bob to be here was by bribing him that he could bring his race car. My fondest memory of Bob was 7 years ago. I was driving to Indiana in January to go be with our brother Drew, who was nearing the end of his life due to his years of suffering from MS. Of course, it was the worst weather I could ever drive through. Just when I'm about to cross the Florida-Georgia line, Bob calls me, checks on me, tells me how to drive, where to drive, how to be careful, what to expect. To me, it was a blizzard blowing sideways, but to you guys, it was just a dusting. But I really appreciated his caring and taking the time out of his busy day to show that he loved me. I know he loved me. I'll forever be grateful for his big brother care. I'm going to miss him. He was a great part of our family.
15 cars go by. Whatever the last car was. Came in, everybody went around us. Came in, went over top of my left front, tore my front end up.
One of my favorite memories with Bob is when Jay and I were visiting Milford years and years ago, and he took us out on his boat fishing. Now, as a kid, I had been fishing, but you might call it pretend fishing. And as everyone knows, Bob did not pretend fish. So I actually caught a catfish. I did, my very first one. I was so excited. And I believe we threw it back. But it is a memory I will always have. It was such a beautiful day, and just so great to spend that time with him. Love you, Bob.
Sure ain't. Nah, damn, man, that ain't right. Oh, fuck.
The biggest memory with Bob is when he dragged his boat down from Delaware to the St. Johns River. It's like, well, you're brave, man. I love you for doing that. And we launched the boat out on Lake Monroe, and we get it in the water, get ready to go, and gee, guess what? It don't start. And after engineering a few things, we realized must have a bad solenoid, and so we bypassed that and went directly to the starter with jumper cables. Thank God Bob had those, and so we would literally start the boat up with the jumper cables, and we cruise all up and down him and Stanley's favorite fishing places, and he caught every frickin' fish in the boat. I never caught one. And at the end of the day, he actually caught like a 5 or 6 pound bass. And it's like, You're just phenomenal. He was the best fisherman on earth. That's all there is to it. And we jumped that motor back off, got back to the ramp, pulled it up, and that's one of my most favorite memories of Bob.
See where the boat ramp is? You want to get on this side of it, go this way.
So me and Bob worked for a handful of years up here in Jersey, where I'm from. One of my favorite memories was just after work fishing and hanging out together. And there's so many more good memories, but there was nothing like the raw talks and BS that we had while we were just fishing in the canoe. It was amazing.
Cute.
My daughter filleting her first perch, so if she cuts her finger, well, it's live here on 6434 Old Shawnee Road.
That's great. And then come down?
Yeah.
Or come up here?
Yeah.
All right.
Right along top of the middle on your side, yeah. And then you feel a spot and go right at the end there, you go straight through.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop. Yeah, that's your cutting board. Yay! Check it out. Yeah.
All right, let's get the other
hold it
side.
back up. I didn't get that part. Yay! Yeah, right.
All right. All right.
She did her first perch. There it is, right there. Awesome.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
Put your pole over so it doesn't hit.
Nice.
Far enough. Bring it over. Bring it in the boat.
Nice, Griff.
Four fish.
Yeah, it's really great. I would tell you a little quick story here.
Hello, my name's Kirk Lawson. What do you think of, when you think of Bobby Wilkins? And I thought about this for a couple days, and what I came up with was a master of his craft. And by that, I mean, whatever he did, it was 100%. And he enjoyed bass fishing, but he didn't just fish. He was acutely aware of habitat, water depth, the vegetation, the weather. He did not just enjoy fishing. He enjoyed outsmarting the fish. And was very good at it. But he mastered that 100%. Passed it on to his kids. They love fishing. And racing. Building the car from scratch, not putting it together. Building the car. Setting up the car. Driving the car. He did all of it and was very good at it. Won lots of races. He was a contender from the Canadian border to Daytona, Florida. And everywhere he went, when they unloaded, whether it was the Anderson Wilkins car, the D&D dismantling car, the Slow But Sexy car, there was a long list of cars. The 94 car, the Kelly Hastings car. There were so many, and he won in all of them. And in different disciplines, late model, modified, sprint car, go-karts. And I learned a lot from him about the different disciplines and the different opportunities we had to work together. From the Hot Rod Garage to Wilkins Fabrication, Pro Chassis, some work with Olson. He mastered that. From taking a straight stick of tubing to rolling a complete car in a trailer and unloading it and winning with it. So that's what I think of, and my fondest memories are, as a father figure. I always gravitated back to Bobby in our profession. I built a lot of race cars with him. Did a lot of different work with him, and he was like an uncle that you could, get life lessons from and ask questions and learn. I learned so much. I have so many opportunities to work with great people like C.J. Rayburn and Walt Breeding, Junie Donlovey, and Bobby encouraged that, and he was one of them, and learned a lot from him. A lot about work ethic and different sacrifices you make to do racing as a job and not as a hobby. It's not easy, and I appreciate those experiences and opportunities that I got with him. Great guy, but a great teacher, ready to share, ready to help educate, very safety conscious, very, made sure that whatever we had coming along in motorsports, that we used it, the Hans device and better seats and belts and helmets, up-to-date belts and helmets. He was a big advocate of safety. But I also, I really want to give thanks to Kim and Bo and Janelle as the family, as he was pursuing this career and this legendary, status of being one of the greatest race car drivers, dirt drivers on the East Coast. Their sacrifices, and they gave a lot of their time with him for that. And I know he appreciated it. And I know it came full circle when he put Bo in a car and was able to do well. Bo won races, they were contenders week in and week out. And that meant a lot to him. And I thank them for the time I got to spend with him that took away from maybe the time they got. And I'm very appreciative of that. And I love the Wilkins, from John R. and Betty. We always joked about them in the shop, Bob. But it was fond memories and great times, all the time we spent together with everybody, Walt's shop, and then when they went to Tennessee, Bobby's shop, and then over to Denton at the Hot Rod Garage, which he enjoyed, and his hiatus, when he was living, he and Bo were in Charlotte working for NASCAR teams. He did it all, and I'm very proud of him. I know they are. And I just want to say I appreciate you guys.
We love you, Papa. We love you, Papa.
Hey, where you at, man? I'm taking care of you, man. Man, give me a holler, dude. We'll see if you're still at the shop. We'll bring that shit by there, man.